A very warm welcome to the second batch of MUSTADAM, a 3 day course on sustainability which is exclusively designed and developed by MEFMA for the facility management professionals working in the Middle East area. So in the next 3 days, we shall discuss not just the strategies and the standards, but we shall also think about how to bring sustainability in our day-to-day actions and behaviors. Facility managers act as the bridge between the vision and the execution. This course will enable you to become leaders and influencers in the field of sustainability and set new benchmarks for the industry. Mustadam is not just sustainability, it is continuity of ancient wisdom and modern ambitions. This course is, by the way, not just a training, it is a movement to create buildings that breathe better, to create cities that live smarter, and to create teams that think greener. One of the most notable achievements of COP28 Dubai has been the formation of Climate Investment Fund of $85 billion. 11 out of the most water-stressed countries in the world are in the Middle East. UAE currently spends around 11.8 billion dirhams every year on water desalination. We all talk about net zero buildings, but then there is a small difference between a net zero energy and a net zero carbon building. A net zero energy building is the one in which the total amount of energy used is equal to the amount of green energy generated on site, whereas a net zero carbon building is one in which the carbon emissions from the buildings are zero. By the way, in the Middle East, UAE, Saudi Arabia and Oman are currently authorized issuers of renewable energy certificates. In fact, Emirates Steel has acquired 1.52 terawatt hours of nuclear certificates and 500 gigawatt hours of solar certificates in 2022, which accounts for almost like 80% of its energy usage. The sustainable materials market was approximately $333 billion in 2024, and it is expected to rise to $1 trillion by 2034, which is like a growth of a annually compounded growth rate of around 12.4%. The Montreal Protocol of 1987 is a landmark international treaty which is designed to protect the ozone layer by phasing out the production and consumption of the substances that deplete it. So like primarily the chlorofluorocarbons and other ozone depleting substances as they are called. This was drafted actually in 1987 and it became applicable in 1989. Now it was ratified by 197 countries, making it the first treaty in United Nations history to achieve a universal ratification. And because of the collective efforts of all countries, the ozone layer is slowly recovering and it is expected to return to the pre-1980 levels by mid to late 21st century. When we talk about waste to energy, this example is the best. Now Sweden generates energy by incinerating or that burning waste to provide electricity to almost like 1 million homes. Now interestingly, because Sweden also has got a good amount of recycling, they recycle almost 50% of the waste. Now it doesn't have enough waste to burn. So what they do is they import waste from the neighboring countries like the UK, Norway and Italy, etc. And these countries, why do they give waste? Because they don't have place to, they don't have the place for landfills to store this waste. And Sweden is royally taking almost like $100 million every year to take the waste from them and burn it to generate energy out of it. So it is a win-win on both the sides for them. When we talk about circular economy, this example probably is the best one. So Netherlands has introduced lease a jeans model. Now what it means is that instead of selling the jeans pants, they lease them. And if you think what is so big about jeans pants, you might be surprised to know that each jeans pant on an average consumes around 7,500 liters of water, 15 units of electricity and 600 grams of cotton, and it emits 20 kgs of carbon dioxide during its entire life cycle. So by leasing the jeans, they have reduced this amount of pollution and it's an example of circular economy. You might be surprised to know that Las Vegas in US has got the biggest landfill in the world. It is spread over 2,200 acres where around 13,600 tons of waste is dumped on a daily basis. And when we think of corrective action, New Zealand scores very high. With conscious efforts, New Zealand has reduced the number of landfills from 327 in 1995 to less than 100 now. It might be interesting for you to know that Dubai is currently investing 30 billion dirhams to expand the drainage system by increasing the capacity by almost 700% to manage over 20 million meter cube of water per day. Now this includes deep tunnels covering almost 40% of the city. Dubai Expo is one of the best examples of stewardship in mega projects, wherein like 95% of the construction waste was diverted from the landfills and the long-term reuse of infrastructure is planned by ongoing post-expo repurposing of assets and spaces. See, corporate social responsibility is always voluntary, it is not mandatory. The best way to describe it is that CSR begins where the law ends and values begin. Dubai's Varsan waste to energy plant is expected to process 1.9 million tons of waste annually and generate around 185 megawatts of power. Dubai's clean energy strategy aims to have 42,000 EVs on road by 2030, and the RTA Dubai aims to have 50% of all public transport to be zero emission by 2030. Friends, it was really pleasure discussing the sustainability with you for the last 3 days, and your active participation and knowledge sharing made it even more special because knowledge when shared becomes power. So wish you all the very best. Thank you.